Hello everyone, welcome to the next lecture of income from salary. And in the last lecture we have completed the scanner question number December 2014, question number 30. So let's see the next question, which is December 2014, question 31. Ramesh, an employee of Gauri and Company of Delhi, received the following payment during the previous year ended 31st March 2021. Basic salary 2,40,000, DNS allowance 40% of basic salary, in bracket 40% forming part of salary. It means total DA is 40% of basic salary. Okay, so basic salary is 2,40,000, उसका आप 40% लोगे, so you'll get the total DA. And then उसका 40% is DA in terms और बैलेंस विल बी DA नॉट इन टर्म्स. ठीक है, पूरा क्वेश्चन रीड करता हूँ, फिर आपको वापस से बोर्ड पे समझा देता हूँ. Then rent free unfurnished accommodation provided by employer for which rent paid by employer being rupees 50,000, the value of taxable perquisite in the hands of Ramesh will be. So what is the value of perquisite? What is the perquisite in this case? The perquisite is house provided by the employer to the employee. So they are asking taxable value of accommodation. Which type of accommodation? Rent free unfurnished accommodation. Rent free unfurnished accommodation. Okay, now as you know, in rent free unfurnished accommodation there are two options: house provided by employer and owned house provided by the employer to employee, and the rented house provided by the employer to the employee. So this is the case of rented house because the rent amount is given and it's clearly mentioned that rent paid by employer. Okay, sometimes what they do, they just mention rent amount is so and so. Okay, and they also write house owned by employer is provided to employee, and they also give the information that rent is so and so. So once you see the rent, you tend to believe that this is the case of the rented house, but you have to always read the wordings very properly. Okay, so in this case it is said rent free unfurnished accommodation provided by employer for which rent paid by employer. So once it is written as rent paid, then only consider it as rented house. Okay, so mere information of rent does not convert this question as rented house question. Okay, so if they write rent paid by employer, then only take it as rented house. So when it is a rented house provided by employer to employee, what is the taxable value? It's 15% of BDA BCM, that is salary or actual rent paid by employer. Okay, while solving the question in exam, you don't have to write all these things. I am explaining now, so I am explaining in detail, so it is taking some time, but while in exam you have to just remember these formulas and directly put the numbers and get the answers quickly. Okay, and that will happen only if you practice. If you practice such type of question at least 3 to 4 times before the exam. So now we have to find the missing things. BDA BCM is missing and actual rent paid by employer is given as 50,000. Okay, whichever is less. So if we get the answer of BDA BCM, we'll get the final answer. So BDA BCM. B for basic salary. Basic salary is given in question as 2,40,000. Then DA. For DA, what they are saying, DA is 40% of basic salary. Okay, so total DA is 40% of basic salary, which is 2,40,000. So 40% of 2,40,000, first you have to calculate that. You get 96,000. This is total DA. Now out of this 40% is forming part of salary, matlab DA in terms. So DA in terms is 40% of this total, and remaining is DA not in terms, which is 60%. Okay, so as you know, in all the formulas we use DA in terms only. So this part you have to ignore, you have to consider only this part. So 96,000 into 40%. You get 38,400. Okay, so DA in terms is 38,400. Then again, A for other allowances, B for bonus, C for commission, M for monetary payments. And if you see the question, these details are not given. So in BD BCM we have to add only two things, which is 2,40,000 plus 38,400, which is DA in terms. Okay, because in this formula we use only DA in terms, no, DA not in terms is ignored. So 2,40,000 plus 38,400, so you get 2,78,400. This is 2,78,400. So take 15% of 2,78,400, which comes to 41,760. So 41,760 or 50,000, whichever is less. So what is our answer? 41,760. So A, B, C or D? Answer is A, 41,760. Now you can tick mark answer A, 41,760, and pause the video and copy down this in your notebook. Now next question is December 2014, question number 32. For the year ended 31st March 2021, Paresh receives a salary of rupees 2,80,000. Paresh's contribution to employees recognized provident fund account is rupees 59,000, and matching contribution has been made by the employer. Taxable income of Paresh will be. So again, what they are asking, taxable income of Paresh. Taxable income, not taxable salary. So they are asking taxable income. So this I have explained to you earlier also, that taxable income means the final taxable income. Final taxable income means we have to prepare the statement of total income. So in question they are asking taxable income. Okay, not the tax liability, they have just asked taxable income. As you know, before finding tax liability we have to find taxable income. So we just have to find the taxable income by preparing the statement of total income. Okay, so taxable income, how we get the taxable income? By preparing the statement of total income. First head is income from salary, then income from house property, then income from business, capital gain, income from other sources, then you get gross total income minus deduction under section 80 chapter 6a, then you get net total income. So this is your final answer. Okay, we don't have to find tax liability, so this is NTI, or you can say taxable income. So taxable income is basically what we have to find, net total income. So this is another name for taxable income, net total income. Okay, now if you see this question, in this question we have the information only for income from salary. These details are not given. Okay, so basically ultimately we have to mainly focus on income from salary. So to find this amount of income from salary, we have to prepare the statement of income from salary. So note number 1, income from salary. So in income from salary means you have to add basic salary, DA, allowances, perquisite, those 14 points to get the gross salary, then minus deduction under section 16. Okay, so let's see what we have. So for statement of income from salary, Paresh receives a salary of 2,80,000. So we have the basic salary, first one as 2,80,000. So yearly amount is directly given, so we don't have to multiply by 12. Be very careful, if in question they give the information in months, so you have to multiply by 12 or whatever months employee has worked during that year. So Paresh's contribution to employees recognized provident fund is 59,000 and matching contribution has been made by the employer. So after basic salary they have given the information for contribution to RPF, contribution to RPF of employee and employer, and no other details are given for salary. So in statement only two things will come, basic salary and contribution to RPF. Now as you know, employees contribution to RPF is ignored, so ignore that part. So what about employers contribution to RPF? That is added after some exemption. So employers contribution to RPF. So first write down the total contribution. Matching contribution means same, 59,000. So 59,000 is contributed by employer. Now out of it, how much is exempt? It is exempt 12% of basic salary plus DA and TC. Now we have only basic salary, so 12% of 2,80,000. So find out 12% of 2,80,000, which comes to 33,600. So this is exempt, 33,600. So balance amount will be taxable. So 59,000 minus 33,600, 25,400. 25,400 is a taxable salary for employees' contribution to RPF, and there are no other details in statement of income from salary. So these two, after adding these two, we get directly gross salary. So 2,80,000 plus 25,400, 3,05,400 is gross salary minus deduction under section 16. In income from salary you get deduction under section 16. First deduction is standard deduction, which is flat 50,000. So standard deduction is 50,000. This we can deduct anytime. Second one is professional tax and third one is entertainment allowance. Those details are not given. So here your net salary or net taxable salary, you get the final amount 3,05,400 minus 50,000, you get 2,55,400. 2,55,400. So this amount will be transferred here, 2,55,400, and all these details are not there. Gross total income 2,55,400. Deduction information is also not there. So net taxable income is your 2,55,400. Okay. So this is the way to understand and solve the question. I know it's just for 1 mark. You get very less time, but the best way to practice and get the speed. I'm explaining, so it is taking like 4 to 5 times more time, consuming 4 to 5 times more time than the actual time taken in the exam. Okay, so these things you have to remember, so that you just prepare this statement and you know that this will be the final amount in this statement also. So no need to prepare the statement, you can directly select the answer and tick mark. But these things you will come to know only after practice. So practice as many questions as possible, practice more times. Now pause the video, copy down. Next question, December 2014, question number 33. Question number 33. Children education allowance received by an employee from his employer is rupees 80 per month per child for 3 children. Taxable education allowance will be, again education allowance, they have used the word allowance, so you have to refer the chart of allowance. Now what is the exemption amount for children education allowance? Children education allowance received 80 per month per child for 3 children. So it's like 80 into 12 into 3 children. You get the total amount received. $2,880. And how much is exempt? Exempt under section 1014, 100 per month per child, right? But that is the maximum amount, maximum 100 per month per child, but he has received only 80, so full 80 will be exempt per month into per child, maximum 2 children. So instead of 3 we have to write 2. Okay, because children education allowance is exempt only for maximum 2 children. So 80 into 12 into 2. $1920. This is the exempt. So what is the taxable amount? 2880, 960. So this is the final answer, 2880. Answer is A. You can pause the video and copy down. Then next one is June 2015, question number 9. Raman purchased a residential house property in Ahmedabad on loan, for which he paid an interest of rupees 50,000 during the previous year. He is working in Delhi and getting an HRA of 4,000 per month. He can claim exemption or deduction for only HRA, only interest, either interest or HRA, but not both HRA and interest. So actually this question is not related to salary. See, interest on loan for house is exempt under section 24 in income from house property chapter. So interest is exempt. Okay, HRA is also exempt. So what is the answer? D, both HRA and interest paid. So they have clubbed 2 chapters. So tick mark D, this is the theory part, so you can remember like that. Then 2015, which of the following is not correct about the approved superannuation fund? Employee's contribution qualifies for deduction under section 80C. Any amount contributed by the employer is exempt from tax. Interest on accumulated balance is exempt from income tax. under some circumstances payments from the funds are chargeable to income tax. So answer is B, any amount contributed by the employer is exempt from tax. This is not correct. So for superannuation fund, whatever amount is contributed by the employer is exempt from tax is not correct, because it is not exempt. You can refer the superannuation fund notes. Then next question is June 2015, question number 65. Ashraf is an employee of Moon Public School. His daughter Zara is studying in the said school at a concessional fees of 600 per month. Actual fees is 4,000 per month. The amount taxable in the hands of Ashraf will be. Again, this is not the allowance. This is a children education facility, means perquisite. Okay. So children education facility for employee's child is exempt at the rate 1,000 per month per child. But first we have to calculate the benefit. So what is the perquisite? Perquisite means benefit. So perquisite benefit कैसे calculate करोगे आप? Total fees which is 4,000 per month. So 4,000 per month. So for full year to 12 minus actual fees. Actual fees he is paying is 600 per month. So 600 into 12. So you get the perquisite. 4,000 into 12 minus 600 into 12. You get 40,800. So this is the total benefit which that employee is getting from the employer. So if his child was in some other school, then he would have to pay 4,000 per month as fees. But since the child is in employer's school, he is paying only 400. So the difference is the benefit for the employee, which comes to 40,800. Okay, so for this benefit we have to learn how much is taxable, how much is exempt. As we know, if a child is in the employer's own school, then exemption is up to 1,000 per month per child. So 100 into 12 into one child, because only one child is there. So 1,000 into 12, 12,000. See, in scanner answer is given wrong. They have given 40,800 as fully taxable, but as you know, for children studying in the employer's own institute, there is exemption of 1,000 per month. So 40,800 minus 12,000. 28,800 is the taxable amount. You can convert the D option, which is 40,800, into 28,800. Okay, and tick mark D. Now next question, 2015 June 66. It's very easy question, that's why I'm not writing on the board. Ashok took an interest-free loan of rupees 15,000 from B Limited, the employer. Assuming that the market rate of interest on similar loan is 10%, the taxable value of the perquisite in the hands of Ashok will be. So this is which case? This is the case of interest benefit, because loan is taken by employee from employer. So this is interest benefit. Now what is the answer? If the loan amount is up to 20,000, full interest benefit is exempt. No need to calculate anything. So just look at the loan amount. Loan amount is only 15,000, which is less than 20,000. So no need of any calculation. Whatever interest benefit will come, it is fully exempt. So what they are asking, taxable value of perquisite. So taxable value will be 0, because whatever benefit he has received in this case will be fully exempt. So taxable value is 0. So that is the answer. Next question, June 2015, question number 67. During the previous year 2020-21, Barun received a watch worth 20,000 from his employer. The taxable value of the watch will be. So as you know, this watch is received by his employer. So the moment you see the words employee, employer, so you must know that this is the case of income from salary. So when anything is given by the employer to the employee, in this case watch is given free of cost, so that will be treated as gift. So gift given by the employer to employee is exempt up to rupees 5,000 if it is in kind. Now here watch is given, watch is kind, watch is in kind, it is not cash. So how much will be exempt? 2015 June 67, total value 20,000 minus exempt 5,000, so taxable value is 15,000. Simple question. So you can write down in your notebook. The next question, December 2015, question number 14. Mr. X, manager of XYZ Limited, since 2001 was terminated by the company on 1st August 2020 by paying a compensation of 200 lakhs. Such compensation is chargeable under the Wealth Tax Act, not chargeable under Income Tax Act, chargeable under section 17(3)(1), chargeable under section 28(2)(a). So this you can say it is little bit out of the syllabus. It is not out of the syllabus, everything is in the syllabus as far as it is under Income Tax Act and rule. Okay, but obviously you must have not read it in the book or in the notes. So answer is C, chargeable under section 17(3)(1). So whatever amount employee receives after termination, that amount is treated as profit in lieu of salary. Profit in lieu of salary. Since he is getting the terminated, he won't receive any salary in future. So to compensate that, employer is giving him one full lump sum amount, and that lump sum amount will be taxable for the employee as salary. So this is called profit in lieu of salary. So after section 17(3)(1), you can tick mark that, and after that you can write it is profit in lieu of salary. Profit in lieu of salary. LEEU, profit in lieu of salary, and it is taxable. Then 2015 December question number 15. HSK LLP had taken Keyman insurance policy on the life of its managing partner. The policy got matured on 13 September 2020 and an amount of 75 lakh was paid by the insurers to the managing partner. The amount so received on maturity of the policy by the managing partner is fully exempt, 50% of 75 lakh exempt, 75 lakh taxable, 25 lakh exempt, and 50 lakh is taxable. So this Keyman insurance policy again is the concept of income from other sources. It will come in income from other sources. Okay, so underline Keyman insurance policy, write income from other sources. I will explain it to you in detail in income from other sources topic. For now you can write 75 lakh taxable. See, it's very simple. Keyman insurance policy, whatever amount you receive, it is fully taxable. But if it is received by the employee, it is taxable under income from salary. If it is received by the company, it is taxable under income from business. And if it is received by the person who is not employee, then it is under income from other sources. So there are three parts. All three I will explain in detail when we will do this chapter income from other sources. Okay, so write down income from other sources, that time we will solve it. Now next question, 2015 December question number 17. Pankaj joins service on 1st April 2016 in the grade of 15,000-1000-18,000-2000-26,000. He shall be paying tax for the year ended 31st March 2021 on the total salary of. So basically we have to find the taxable income from salary, because what is asked? Tax on salary. So we have to find taxable income from salary. So to find taxable income from salary, we have to prepare the statement of income from salary, and we start with basic salary, D and all that. But if you see the question, it is given only, they have given only basic salary information, and that basic salary is also given in the grade form, which I have explained you earlier also how to find out that. So Pankaj joined service on 1st April 2016 in the grade of 15,000, 1,000, 18,000, 2,000, 26,000. Okay, so we just need to find the basic salary and prepare the statement of income from salary. So grade pay is given as 15,000 dash 1,000 in bracket dash 18,000 dash 2,000 in bracket dash 26,000. So what does this mean? It means when he will join, what is the joining date? I will write it down. Joining date is 1st April 16. Okay, so when he has joined on 1st April 16, his salary was 15,000, and every year he will get the increment. This in bracket, whatever is written, it is increment. So every year he will get the increment of 1,000 till his salary becomes 18,000. So once the salary becomes 18,000, he will get the increment by 2,000 every year till his salary becomes 26,000. Okay, so whatever is given in bracket, that is the increment per month. So now we have to find the salary, taxable income from salary for our PY 2020-21. Okay, now what is the joining date? 1/4/16, but we have to find answer for 2021. So again we have to use this grade to find the salary of 2020-21. So from 1st April 16 to 31st March 17, first year, then 1st April 17, 1st March 18, 19, 20. Okay, so when he joined on 1st April 16, his salary was how much? 15,000. Then for next year he will get the increment by 1,000. So it will become 15,000 plus 1,000, total 16,000. Next year again increment of 1,000, so 16,000 plus 1,000, you get 17,000. Next year again increment 17,000 plus 1,000, 18,000. Okay, next year again increment 18,000 plus 1,000. No, after 18,000 you get the increment of 2,000, so that is important. So now you have to add 2,000, so you get 20,000 per month. So this is the salary for your previous year 2021, 20,000 per month. Okay, so now we can prepare the small statement of income from salary, that is basic salary 20,000 into 12, this 2,40,000. There are no other details, so this would be gross salary minus deduction under section 16. As you know, there is only one deduction which is always available, which is standard deduction 50,000. So 2,40,000 minus 50,000, you get taxable income from salary as 1,90,000. Taxable income from salary 1,90,000. Okay, so copy down this by pausing the video. Next question, 2015 December 42. A couple gets salary of 12,000 per month and is provided with rent-free unfurnished accommodation at Pune, population 20 lakhs. House is owned by employer, fair rental value is 1,400. So that's what I was telling earlier, that they will give the information that house is owned by employer, and they will also give the rental value. So ignore the rental value because house is owned by the employer. So that information is given just to confuse you. So this house is owned by the employer, so this is the owned house. And which type of house? Rent free, unfurnished. For fair rental value doesn't matter because house is owned by the employer, so ignore that. House was provided with effect from 1st July 2020. Value of rent free unfurnished accommodation. So we have to find taxable value of rent free unfurnished accommodation, and this is which type of house? This is owned house. So in case of owned house, what is the taxable value? Either 15% or 10% or 7.5% of BDA BCM. So when nothing is given, we take 15%, but in this case they have given the population as 20 lakhs. So as you know, when the population is about 10 lakhs and up to 25 lakhs, we take the taxable value as 10%. So taxable value is 10% of BDA BCM, because in question they have given the population as 20 lakhs, which is below 25 lakhs. You can refer the note of that RFUA calculation. So BDA BCM will be salary 12,000. So only basic salary is given. So 10% into 12,000, but this salary is per month, and he joined from which date? 1st July. So 1st July to 31st March 2021. If you count, it comes only 9 months. So you have to multiply by 9 months. So 10% into 12,000 into 9, which comes to 1,08,000. 10% is 10,800. So this is the taxable value of rent-free and unfurnished accommodation. Next question is 2015 December, question number 50. Anil is employed in a company with annual salary of 8,60,000. Computed means they have calculated it properly. The company paid tax of 37,000 on his non-monetary perquisite. He paid 1,20,000 to recognize provident fund during the year 2020-21. His total income would be, okay. So his gross salary is given as 1.8 lakh. His annual salary, computed salary, is given as December 50, 2015. Total salary is given as 8,60,000. And he has paid 1,20,000 to recognized provident fund. So what is the income he will get in hand? So this is the total salary minus contribution to RPF. Obviously, if employee contributes to RPF, it will be deducted from his salary. Now whatever is the remaining amount, he will get in hand. So this amount we have to deduct, which is 1,20,000. Now the tax is paid by the employer, so that we don't have to bother for. I just deduct the contribution of employee for RPF to get the income. What is asked? Income. So 8,60,000 minus his contribution in RPF, you get the income. Take away, or you can say take home 7,40,000. 2015 December 53. Rohan retires from private service on 30 April 2020 and his pension has been fixed at rupees 1500 per month. He gets half of his pension commuted during January 2021 and receives 75,000. He also gets 60,000 as gratuity. The total pension taxable including the commuted value will be. So here they are asking total taxable value of pension. Mark this question, very important. Okay, so first of all, what is your previous year? 2020-21. Okay, so I'll draw this one diagram. 1st April 2020 to 31st March 2021. This is your financial year. Now he is retiring on 30 April 2020. Means he has worked only for 1 month in the previous year. Retired on this date, 30 April. As you know, pension is received after retirement. Okay, so during this period he has received the pension. This is the duration of pension from 30 April 20 to 31st March 21. Okay, so they have asked only for the pension, so ignore this 1 month part. Now we are concerned only from this part to this part. Now what happens, how much pension he received, and his pension has been fixed at 1500 per month. He gets half of his pension commuted during January 2021. It means till December his total pension was uncommuted and it was 1500 per month. So in January, somewhere in January, he commuted. Okay, commuted pension. How much? Half, 1/2, 50%, or in percentage if I write, 50% pension is commuted in January. So what we can say, from 30 April 20 to Jan 21 his total pension was uncommuted, correct? Now uncommuted means on monthly basis, which was how much? 1500 per month. 1500 per month. Now you can count the number of months from April to December. Jan means you can say 1st Jan. So April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. Sorry, this is 30 April. So obviously he will start receiving the pension from 1st May. So May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December, for 8 months. He has received the pension 1500 totally as uncommuted, and as you know, uncommuted pension is fully taxable. So 1500 per month into 8 months will be fully taxable. Which comes to 12,000. So this 12,000 is fully taxable because it is uncommuted. It's very simple. Now what is the main part? Once he gets commuted. So once he gets commuted, so for these 3 months, these are the 8 months, this is the 3 months. For these 3 months there are 2 parts, which I think I will explain it better in separate note. For these 3 I will make one note, working note number 1. Okay, so this I will explain in note. So note 1, pension from 1st Jan 21 to 31st March 21 for 3 months. Okay, now what happens in these 3 months? Total pension was 1500 per month before this, and this is divided into 2 parts. uncommitted and committed. How much is committed? 50%. So how much is uncommitted? 50%. 50% of 1500 is 750 per month, and this is also 750 per month. But committed means instead of receiving 750 per month, he has received total and receives 75,000. So instead of this, he received 75,000. Okay, by committing 50%. So as you know, in this question gratuity is also received. So how much is exempt from committed portion? 33.33% will be exempt. So 50% is 75,000. So minus 33.33% exemption. Cross multiply and find out the exemption amount. 50% is 75,000. So 33.33% is how much? So 33.33, ignore percentage, into 75,000 divided by 50, you get 49,995. If you can round off, it will be 50,000. So out of 75,000 committed pension received, 50,000 will be exempt. So how much is taxable? 75 minus 25,000, which comes to, sorry, minus 50,000, it comes to 25,000. This is taxable. Okay, this was exempt. So committed portion, this is the exempt. Total committed portion pension was 75,000 minus exempt 50,000, taxable balance amount 25,000. Clear? Now come to this part. As you know, uncommitted is always taxable. This is 750 per month. For how many months? 3 months. So into 3 months. So 750 into 3. 2,250. 2,250, and this is fully taxable. Now we have to find the total taxable value of pension. Total taxable value of pension. Total taxable value of pension. Now total means taxable value of uncommitted as well as taxable value of committed. So we have to write we have to add every taxable value. First one is this 12,000, then this 2250 plus this 25,000. So 12,000 plus 2250 plus 25,000, you get 39,250. So this is your final answer. Total taxable value of pension. Taxable value of committed pension as well as taxable value of uncommitted. Now remember, to avoid any confusion, what I am saying, this chart or this part is for this duration. Okay. Now this duration of 8 months is pretty clear, because in these 8 months entire pension was uncommitted. He committed his pension in Jan. So from Jan to March there will be 2 parts, uncommitted and committed. For this I have prepared the chart, and this chart we have done earlier also. Okay, so this question is very important. Copy down by pausing the video, and other questions I will do in the next lecture. Till then, take care and practice.